very grateful to be here representing the University of Wisconsin and our players. And I think feel very fortunate to be able to, one, to be a football coach, and two, to be able to do it at your alma mater. It means a lot, and I'm excited for everyone here to get to know the three players that came with us. Michael Dieter, offensive lineman, Dakota Dixon, safety, and TJ Edwards. And I think that's the best part of my job, is getting the opportunity to work with those players. And I'm excited for those of you who haven't met them to get to know them. And they truly, I think, make our team special. And they're representing all of our players. And certainly we're excited for this season. And I think the beauty of going into every season is you don't know what's to come. It truly is a journey. And yet we're looking forward to it. And I appreciate the work that's gone into it by everyone. And we're excited to report August 1st and to start camp and try to make the most of the opportunity that is this season. And that's fun. And the best way to do that is just making the most of each day. And our group gets that. And again, I'll go back to that's why it's fun to be their coach. And so I'm grateful to be here representing them and the University of Wisconsin. Take any questions?
Please raise your hand. We'll get the microphone right over to you. We'll take our first question, Coach, on the wall here on our right.
Coach Joe Giuliano, Philadelphia Inquirer and Daily News. I just wondered, what's the biggest improvement you've seen in Alex Hornibrook over the years, and what are the qualities that you admire most about him?
Well, there's a lot of things that I admire about Alex, and one of those is his desire to be the best that he can be. And he truly is that, and he's a great worker. He's a really good teammate. Our players like him. He likes our team, his teammates, and you appreciate the way that Alex works, and certainly now he's had a number of experiences and done a lot of good things in those, and certainly there's areas in every part of his game, just like any other player, that he can get better at, but he works at it, and he's fun to be around with, and I'm fortunate for the time that we've had, and I look forward to this year and being around him and hopefully helping him continue to grow. As I think he's a heck of a quarterback now, and yet I still think he can get better, and that's fun to be around.
The floor is open right now. If you have a question, please raise your hand. So we'll go on the wall on the far left over here.
Hey, Coach. Jake Reitman with the Medill News Service. How do you handle continuously being the hunted in the Big Ten West, especially with other programs being on the rise and gaining momentum? What's that conversation like with your players?
Well, I think, we know how competitive the Big Ten is, and really every week it's a great challenge, and so our players know that, and so there's great players in this league. I've always thought that, and I know there's great coaches in this league, so people are going to get better, and each week it's going to be a great competition, and you just want your players to be as prepared for that as they can be, and then go out and play. And all we talk about is give yourself a chance to have a chance, and there's great, like I said, players and teams across the field from you, and whether you're hunting, we're all trying to do the same thing. And I think the biggest thing you can do is try to focus on the areas that you can impact the most, and that's yourself. And so you just want your players in a good spot and focused, and appreciate the opportunity of great competition.
Coach will come right down in front of us.
Yeah, Coach, Steve Hellwagen with 24/7 Sports. I think one of the national media outlets, CBS or someone, came out with an article that said Wisconsin can win the national championship. Is that something that has been discussed, talked about as a goal the belief, I mean, after being a contender for 20 years in the Big Ten, that Wisconsin, 12-0 regular season last year, is ready to take that step and be in the playoff and win the national championship?
I think that, there's a lot of teams that, have goals and aspirations, and you talk about in your question, you got a chance too, right? And that's, just talked about that earlier. And, it's not like nothing that happens outside really impacts inside the room. And our expectations and our goals inside the room have always been really high. And once you set those, then I think you got to go back, and the only way to obtain those goals is to take advantage of each day and focus on that. And you earn the right to be, we're talking about earning more opportunities, earning games, whether that's, trying to win the Big Ten West so that you can earn the right to play in the Big Ten championship game, earn the right to play in a bowl game. All those things are earned, and the only way to get there is by making the most of each day and each opportunity. But there's nothing that's said outside that is going to impact more what's happening on the inside. And our team, we have high expectations, and that bar's been set because of those that have come before. And some of them are on our team now, of what they've done. And yet each year it's a new opportunity. And that's what's fun about it. There's a lot of storylines, but nothing's happened yet. You have to go out and earn it, and that's why the season is fun. That's why I said earlier, it's a journey, and you want to enjoy that journey with your players, and you want them to maximize that opportunity. But I don't think anything that's happening or being said outside. I feel pretty fortunate with our team. A lot of the guys that are playing now were part of very differing storylines going into season. So therefore they should know that nothing matters what's being said outside. It's what you get to do with your opportunity.
Coach, we'll bounce over to the right side of the room here in the middle.
Bill Bender, Sporting News. Coach, the rest of the country kind of saw it outside of the Big Ten, the skill position players that you had and how they performed against Miami. So would you say going into this season that this is maybe the most depth that you've had at running back receiver since you've been there?
I think that, I'm glad of who we have on our roster. I think when I think of since I've been here, I know I left for 3 years, but I've been at Wisconsin for a long time. We've had a lot of really good players. And, but yeah, I think that we're starting to get some depth at the receiver spot. Been a part of, love the fact that Jonathan Taylor is our running back, and I think we've got good depth there. But I've also been fortunate to be a part of some really good teams and specifically at running back, depth at that position. So all those are good narratives, and the guys, we get an opportunity, and like the running backs get an opportunity to prove that this is whether they're one of the better groups that's ever been, and all that stuff that a lot of people like to talk about. All I know is that group cares about their team, and whether it's receivers, the running backs, they want to do all they can to help this team be the best we can be, and that you appreciate as a coach.
Coach, next question is on the same side of the room, all the way in the back under the light.
Coach, Robbie General, Outland Trophy. You talk about the skill position players, but you're returning 4 all-conference offensive linemen. How important is it to have them established as you come into the season?
Well, I think it's really important, and we feel fortunate, for all the work that guys put into it, and we've got, offensive line, we've got a lot of guys that played really good football, and defensive line, you got Olive that's played a lot of football, and then we've got a younger group, but it doesn't just happen. And I know there's been a long history of really good linemen, but that they have to work and they have to put themselves in position, and Coach Rudolph, our offensive line coach, and Noki Breckfield, our D-line coach, they spend a lot of time with them, and yet love the fact that we've got guys that have experience, and I think if you're going to be a good team, you've got to be good in your offense and defensive lines, and so it's a good starting point, and we've just got to continue to work to get better.
Floor is open right now. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll take our next question right here on the aisle by the camera.
Need a boom mic. Tim May, Columbus Dispatch. Coach, how do you look at the notion that most people have that the power in the Big Ten is in the East, the West is a little bit of the least, so to speak, but what's your view on that?
Well, my view is that I think there's really good teams in the Big Ten, and they're in the East, they're in the West, and so don't spend a lot of time trying to figure out narratives. I know who we play this year, and you respect every opponent, and you know that you've got to play well to give yourself a chance, and so. That's what I feel. I feel like ever since I've been part of the Big Ten, that each week is going to be a heck of a competition and a heck of a battle, and that's the fun part about playing in the Big Ten and coaching in the Big Ten, because your players know that too. And you know what? Had great games with teams from the East, great games with teams from the West, and so to me, that's the beauty of playing in the Big Ten. You got to be ready every week.
We have time for a couple more questions. Take our next question, Coach, here on the left on the aisle.
Mike DeFabo, CNHI. Paul, the Big Ten Conference, I guess if you look at the identity, people would say it's a defensive conference and it's a conference that runs the football. In the past 2 years, the Big Ten West added Jeff Brom, who's known as an offensive guru. Now this year, Scott Frost. What do you think about maybe the changing identity of the Big Ten, at least in the West?
The last part of it, what do I think?
What do you think about some of these new coaches, if they can change maybe some of the identity of the Big Ten with their offensive schemes?
Yeah, I don't know about identity. I know they're really good football coaches, and obviously we got to play against, Purdue and Jeff last year, and not just Jeff, I think their whole staff, and certainly we all know and appreciate what Scott did last year, and so, I think that there are really, I'm not just saying it there are really, really good coaches in this league, and you know that, and I think that they bring a lot to the table, and then you do that with really good players, and so I think they're going to have an impact, and I think that all coaches can have an impact on the league, but it's really only through their players, and yet there's no question that's one of the things I enjoy coaching in the Big Ten, because there are really good players, and that there's really good coaches, and therefore you've got to elevate your game.
We have time for one more question. Please raise your hand high. Okay, Coach, thank you very much.
All right, thanks.